So, let's talk about Apple Watch. So we all use many of us use Apple Watches on a daily basis. We have them on our wrist, we use them to check the time, track our fitness, check our text messages, all sorts of stuff like that. But what many of us don't really think about when we use this device to check the time is it's not just a glorified digital watch. In reality, this is a computer on your wrist. And computers can do a lot more than check the time and check your heart rate. So why not play games on it? We're bored all the time. We have this small little computer on our wrist. Why not play some simple games when we're bored? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going over the 5 best free Apple Watch games in 2020. Now, all of these Apple Watch games are completely free. Now, keep in mind, there are some limitations to gaming on an Apple Watch, but there's also some really great things about playing games on these tiny computers. So, as you know, Apple Watches have 3 parts. They have the screen, they have the digital crown, and they have Force Touch, which also kind of works with haptic feedback. You get those taps on your wrist. So Apple Watch games, one thing they're great at is taking a normal game that you normally play on your computer, your phone, shrinking it down onto your tiny screen while keeping the design pretty darn good so you can see everything really well. And then incorporating that digital crown and incorporating all of those extra features like Force Touch to create a really simple but quite honestly fun and kind of addicting game on your wrist. So before we discuss these actual games, if you're new to my channel, then my name is Thomas and I make tech videos and Apple content all the time. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I publish awesome new tech videos. Anyway, let's discuss the first free Apple Watch game. Alright, so the first game is called Falldown. And essentially the objective of Falldown is to use the digital crown on your Apple Watch to make the ball fall through the holes as far as possible without getting stuck at the top of the screen. Now this sounds really simple and kind of dumb, but in reality, it's kind of a difficult game. Now it can be frustrating at times, but it's really addicting. You just want to it's an infinite game, so essentially you want to get down as many times as possible. Each time you go down one little gap, your score goes up, and you try to compete with yourself to get the best score you can. And you can actually change the color of your ball and control, the digital crown game control sensitivity. So in reality, this game is really customizable, and while it's a really simple concept, it can be made into a really fun game. Now personally, I kind of suck at the game, but hey, it's still fun. The next game, actually, I'm impressed with this game. It's called Touch Round, and what this game is essentially, it's a kind of a racing style game on your Apple Watch. So essentially, you control a car and you have to go around different racetracks, and one thing I'm really surprised with, even though it's a free game on your Apple Watch, they don't really have a way of making money. They still incorporated lots of different levels into this game and different ways to play. For example, on some levels, when you turn the digital crown, it always moves your car to the right. Whereas on other levels, it depends if you turn up or down, it will move your car right or left. And all these different levels have different racetracks and stuff like that. And in reality, this game sounds like easy, but it's actually kind of difficult because you have to maneuver your car while it's constantly moving. You can't actually stop it. You have to maneuver it to not go off the racetrack and just finish the game as fast as possible. And if you end up accidentally going off the racetrack, well, bummer, game's over, and you gotta completely retry. Alright, now let's talk about the third game. This is probably my favorite game for your watch. Now this game is actually Pong, and well, everyone knows Pong. It's a simple game that's been around for decades. It's on the first gaming console, and they've done a really great job moving this to Apple Watch. So of course you control the paddle just as you'd think. You turn your digital crown up and down to move the paddle and try to hit the ball into the other opponent's paddle as many times as you can. And you just try not to miss, and every time the opponent misses, you gain a point. Now, what I really love about this game is, one, it's a really simple, fast game. You can play it when you're bored, even if you only have, 30 seconds or a minute. You can, get a couple rounds in of this game. Second, the controls are super easy to learn, super simple, and really intuitive. When you turn the crown, the little paddle moves as much as you'd think it would actually move from turning that crown. And the game also has really nice haptic feedback. So, those little taps when you turn the crown or when the ball hits the paddle, that feels really nice in this game. Now, it does actually also have a second game mode as well. And in this second game mode, you essentially, well, to access it, you just force touch on your Apple Watch screen, and then it will open up the next game mode. And this game mode, you have lots of different colored squares, and you have to bounce the ball on all of them to break all of them without missing the ball. So essentially, you hit it, and it will hit these squares, and when it hits them, they get destroyed. But if the ball comes back and you miss it, well, game over. It's pretty simple, but just try it out. Trust me, it's really fun. The next game we all know and love as well, Trivia Crack. It was one of the first really popular iPhone games. It's just a simple trivia game, but they've done a really great job incorporating this onto Apple Watch. You can start as many new games as you want. You just start the game, select what language you want to play, choose who you want to play with, so I'll just select random player usually, and then it pops up this little spinny wheel and you tap the screen. It chooses your category for your question, and it will give you a random question from one of those categories, and then you have to essentially answer it right, and the more times you answer it right, the higher your score goes, and you just have to try not to answer it wrong and answer it correct more times than the opponent. And it's a really fun game, even though it's really simple, and it works really well on Apple Watch, and it's just kind of fun to play a little trivia game, see which facts you know? Alright, now let's talk about the most challenging game, in my opinion, on Apple Watch. Now this game is called Break This Safe, and well, the game is kind of what you'd think it is, You have a little safe, and essentially you turn the digital crown, and as you turn it, you'll essentially get little haptic feedbacks. And when you get those haptic feedbacks, you have to guess where that haptic feedback was, and tap the screen to try to unlock the safe. Now this sounds really simple, but in reality, it's really difficult. In fact, it's kind of like, difficult, like breaking an actual safe is difficult. So when you turn it, you get these haptic feedbacks, but you have to stop exactly where the haptic feedback was and try to open up the safe, and you have to actually do that 3 times in a row in order to get into the safe. You mess up once, well, you gotta restart, which of course makes sense because, it's modeled off of real safes and real padlocks. Now this game is really fun and actually really tests your reflexes, because when you're turning, you gotta know, okay, right now I'm gonna stop and then I'm gonna tap it, and if I go past that little haptic feedback bump, well, I probably am not gonna hit it again. Oh, and I forgot to mention your time, so you're kind of rushing at the same time. It's a really fun but challenging game. I'm gonna be honest, this game can be frustrating at times, but when you get the lock unlocked, it's so satisfying. Alright guys, so those were the top 5 best free Apple Watch games in 2020. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely smash that like button, and I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.